to talk about the conclusion of Chelsea preseason and whether or not they should be worried entering the start of the season. Obviously, this is a not difficult. I'm more than comfortable talking about this. I'm more than comfortable being critical about my club. But it's an interesting conversation having this because this is my favorite team, Chelsea. I, as a journalist, I'm not afraid to admit I do root for teams. I'm not like those journalists out there. I have no dog in the fight or whatever the saying is. I just report no, I'll admit it. I am a fan of Chelsea. But I'm not afraid to be critical about them. I think the way that this club has been operated over the past few years has been nothing short of a disgrace. And if I could use stronger words on this network, I would. But I have rules. I have rules that I have to follow. But it's been more than just a disgrace the way that they've been handled since the selling of Roman Abramovich has had to do. Selling it post that Russia-Ukraine geopolitical, stuff. Since that, happened, Chelsea have been in complete disarray in terms of transfer window, in terms of transfer strategy, in terms of managerial searching, in terms of players on the pitch, in terms of the quality that we've seen, in terms of everything we've seen, in terms of the results. It's been all a mess at Chelsea, and it's really sucked the life out of me as a Chelsea fan. It's been really hard to watch, and it's been really sad to watch. It's been really, really sad to watch, and it's been very, very, very disappointing. I haven't seen much seasons where I've been so not looking forward to a season. I have this upcoming season with Chelsea coming in, because look, whenever Chelsea were able to make the first bit of progress since that new ownership group came in terms of the period of end of last season, getting a little bit of comfortable results, getting back into a European positioning after a good run, I believe in 15 games, only losing one, some stat like that. After having such a good run, first good signs that they've shown under a manager. They have, I don't know if it's fired or alienated enough so he quits. But basically, Pochettino parted ways with Chelsea, or Chelsea fired him. I still don't understand what exactly happened. The report was saying Pochettino left or whatever, it was mutual. I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't care. Why worry about the past? With this team right now, though, with Enzo Maresca coming in, Enzo Maresca, he has a style of play. He's been coached with Pep Guardiola. So obviously there's going to be an emphasis on being able to be possession-oriented, being able to control the ball, playing a very, very high line, being able to suffocate a team in the attacking half. But Chelsea does not have the most, number one, in terms of being able to play out of the back. They're not the best team in terms of that. They don't have the quality at the back in terms of players to be able to control the ball. I'm talking about from goalkeeper and defenders to play out of the back. We saw mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake this preseason by trying to play out. And then in terms of playing a high line, you want to play a high line, but the defenders are not particularly pacey enough to play a high line. And even if they are, a high line cannot succeed if the player in midfield has 30 minutes to pick out a pass. And if he has 30 minutes to pick out a pass, then there's no way you can succeed playing a high line, because it's just too easy to play that ball in behind every single time, and eventually they'll burn you. And that's exactly what Real Madrid did, and it's very, very, very frustrating to watch. And the best part about all this is, look, you could say, okay, Chelsea, they just need to, ease their way into the season, They just need to calm themselves, and they need to game by game progress and ease their way into the season with Enzo Maresca, start developing more style of play under him, start retaining his tactics, start being able to play his sort of football, having the real tactical understanding and identity of the way Enzo Maresca wants to play. They can slowly develop that throughout the season, you would say. But, Chelsea happened to open up their Premier League season, against mighty Manchester City. That's what they get to open up their Premier League campaign to. They get to go play against Manchester City. What a great start for them. That's the perfect way to open up your season, wasn't it? And really, the Premier League, by the way, they really don't like us. They really don't like us. This is like how many times are they going to give us this sort of, top six sort of team in the opening game of the season? It's ridiculous. I go back to a few years ago. We played Manchester United, where we got thumped by them. We played last year. We played Liverpool. This season we played Manchester City. What is this with giving us these ridiculously top 6 games in the opening game of the season? Save those games for spread them out. Why are you giving those sort of games in the beginning of the season? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And it only happens to Chelsea. What other big time, what, in terms of opening game of the season, what big time game have you seen besides, over the past few years that did not include Chelsea? It happens to be Chelsea happens to play those big top 6 teams in the opening game of the season every single time. This time around, they start off against Manchester City, and well, look, and I don't care if the game is at Stamford Bridge. You see how we've been trying to play, and obviously it's gonna, you're gonna make mistakes. You gotta get the mistakes out, and you gotta ease your way. I remember Unai Emery at Arsenal. He wanted to play a specific way, and they made so many mistakes trying to play out, and they looked very dysfunctional. But he stayed with it. We saw, that's what managers too. Top class managers, they don't try to switch to plan B. They try to make plan A better. And well, Chelsea, if they want to do that, they want to be very, very open in terms of possession, wanting to dominate possession, want to press up as soon as they lose the ball, want to play very, very high line, and want to play out of the back. With this current set of Chelsea players, they are not ready to play that against the big teams. So if they open up their season against Manchester City and they play that really, really high line, and, you allow yourself to, get pressed when you try to play out of the back and get pressed by these City players, these ferocious City players. And if you allow, De Bruyne to have 60, 70, 75, 80, 90, 100 minutes on the ball, unlimited time on the ball to pick out, the likes of Haaland and Doku, and those players going in behind this Chelsea's back line, well, Manchester City will win that game by 48. It'll be 48-0. I mean, it'll be a complete domination. I'm just being for real. Manchester City will love the opportunity to play Chelsea in the opening game of the season. The way that they've played in preseason, the mistakes in terms of playing out the back, the mistakes in terms of defending with the high line, the overall just lackluster display. And yes, preseason doesn't mean anything, but still, if they do that, well, yeah. But I think in terms of the opening game, forget about it. It's going to be a wash. Chelsea are not going to win. No chance. But I think Chelsea have a chance to really develop this sort of identity under Enzo Maresca. If he's able, he's going to take a lot of criticism early. Let's be honest. He's going to take a lot of criticism early because it's going to take time for these Chelsea players to adapt. They always take time to adapt to a new manager, and it seems like with this current set of Chelsea players, it's going to take even more time because look at the way that they adapted to Mauricio Pochettino. This is a team that doesn't really pick up new bits of information quickly, and has a lack of experience, have a lack of leadership there. So it's going to take time for them, but I do think they can be a deadly outfit. I do think they can be a threatening team. I do think they can, contend for top 4. I don't think it's all negative with Chelsea. I do think there's some sort of players in there that if they're able to progress, some of these big time signings, they really need to make their money's worth in terms of Chelsea would need to make their money's worth out of some of these big time signings. Specifically, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Mikhailo Mudryk. I'm trying to think. Those are the 3 big ones. These are all $100 million plus sort of players. And for these players, Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Mikhailo Mudryk, for these players to be worth it, the amount of money Chelsea have to spend, they all need to develop into being world-class players. And if these players do develop into world-class players, it completely changed the way in terms of how Chelsea play football. It completely changed the way in terms of how teams go in facing Chelsea, the fear factor. It completely changes everything. The players that were, the investment put in this team, the amount of money spent specifically on those 3 players needs to pay off for Chelsea to really be the team that they're trying to be. That's the biggest thing as well.